Hello, 1, 2, 3. Hello, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, oh,
In New York is slightly different than the strain that was observed in China.
In just a few hours, for the first time ever, New York subway will not be running round the clock. Between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., the system will be shut down in order to make cars and stations to reduce spread of the virus. David, thank you. President Trump is pushing for a major investment in U.S. infrastructure as part of future spending and aid programs. He's also pressing states and cities right now to take advantage of the lull in traffic because of the coronavirus. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Mann shows us tonight.
Our country, our roads are, they're going to have.
Roads empty, major highways eerily silent. For some state officials, a rare opportunity.
We're doing I-4 Orlando. We're doing bridges in Tampa.
The president encouraging others to follow suit. Tweeting this morning, governors should let roads and highway construction begin before heavy traffic starts, which will be soon. New Jersey and Colorado are also accelerating progress during the coronavirus pandemic. Houston, Indianapolis are among the growing list of cities ramping up construction plans. And as lawmakers in Congress look to move forward on an infrastructure bill, it's more than just roads. They're considering
Roads, bridges, global transit systems, global infrastructure, broadband, activity issues, energy, grids, all that brings people to work.
With White House advisors warning unemployment could hit levels not seen since the Great Depression and predicting terrible economic numbers over the next couple of months, there are many in both parties who suggest now is the time to put people back to work, rebuilding America's crumbling infrastructure. But there isn't much trust between the parties on Capitol Hill.
The big question is if the Democrats actually willing to work together on real infrastructure, roads, bridges, and genuine infrastructure, but they just want to hand out billions or trillions to their special interests, like the Florida election.
Passed and signed infrastructure package will allow a president on the ballot and many lawmakers seeking re-election to claim a signature legislative achievement and to show the American people visible improvements in their communities. Mike, thank you. President Trump takes a road trip today and says he will let Dr. Anthony Fauci make a trip up to Capitol Hill to testify.
Except for your allergy pills. Flow makes senses. Nothing strong. Nothing gentle. Flow makes senses. 24 hours of non-test allergy pills.
I always thought it was me, that I was the reason all these diets never worked. This is genuinely not a temporary fix. There's some serious psychology behind it. It's funny how much smarter I feel like we were just thinking. It's the simple things. Once I understood why I was making those choices, it was also me to change those habits, and weight loss came naturally after that.
I've been on it for 4 months now. I've lost 27 pounds. I feel like I got my life back.
Visit new.com and lose the weight for good. Such a gorgeous lawn.
You see a great lawn. It's all you see. Their lawns are a whole. We'll take care of your lawn. We'll take care of you.
See what you can say. ConsumerSelect.com.
So what's going on?
We're talking, dog.
The other issue.
I'm scratching like crazy.
You've got some allergic itch with skin inflammation. Agricultural work college as well as 4 hours later than you or I lines and at plus $2 over $7 million.
Nice. And it's talking, dog.
Is it bothering you?
No, it seems like a dog is bothering me.
Until products can speak for themselves, you have to. When allergic cases happen, ask for Agricultural. Agricultural is for the control of it associated with allergic dermatitis and control of big tired dermatitis in dogs. If you want to use alcohol in adults less than 12 months old or those with serious infections. Alcohol may increase the chance of developing serious infections and may cause existing parasitic skin infestations or pre-existing cancers to worsen. Do not use in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs. Most common side effects are vomiting and diarrhea. Feeling better?
I'm speechless. Thanks to the Aqua.
Ask your veterinarian for Aqua. Next to you, Aqua is a dog's best friend. Adversity came to town. Solutions are people, sourcing and distributing fresh food. Home grocers restock their shelves. We showed how to make millions of meals to those and how we're encouraging all Americans to take out, to give back. I first became to town.
Right now, it feels like the world's standing still. But if you look at the land, it's a whole different story. From farms and backyards, bees are turning, seeds are being planted, animals are getting fat, grass is growing, and families are giving their all to the soil. Because no matter how uncertain things get, the land never stops. So it's always moved to the land. We stay thankful, really, because we all grow together.
So the task force has done a great job. And now we get a little bit of a different form, and that form is safety and elevate. And we'll have a different group probably set up. Are you saying mission accomplished? No. The mission accomplished is large over.
If you haven't George, except the president who every day has to work. He spends half his time on medicines that don't work. He spends half his time on blaming other people for other issues.
The Senate Minority Leader asked the President today, as the President travels out to Arizona, what's the latest? Let's bring out Bill McBurn, columnist for the Wall Street Journal. Molly Hemingway, senior editor at the Federalist, and John McCall, ABC News chief White House correspondent, author of the new book, Front Row at the Trump Show. It's a great read. Al, thanks for being here. John, I want to start with you. I covered the White House for several years. It's all about knowing what has changed day to day. As you look at this week, we obviously had a town hall at the Lincoln Memorial on Sunday night, and the president's out in Arizona today. What has changed? What is president
Well, the president has eye on reopening the country. The thing I think that's always been his instinct. Remember when we talked about we can't let the cure be worse than the problem. But he was listening to those health advisors, seeing the numbers coming in, seeing the images. I think one of the key moments in this crisis, Brett, was when a good friend of the president's, we talked to you about this at the Lincoln Memorial, a good friend of the president's, waiting in the hospital with coronavirus and ended up dying. And he had a visual representation of what this crisis means. He also talked about seeing the body bags outside the hospital in Queens, a hospital that he knew. So he knew the human toll of this crisis. I think that now what he is looking at is the economic costs of shutting down the country. And today you see this decision to begin to phase out the coronavirus task force, an effort to move to the next phase. The question is whether or not this disease will cooperate.
By the way, Molly, phasing out the coronavirus task force obviously doesn't mean, as Jim McCaskey questioned, accomplished just because passed.
Yes, there have been so many press conferences featuring these medical professionals who have spoken at great length about the coronavirus and its effects on what has been missing from these press conferences lately has been enough to set more of the economic impact. And it is, we're getting a sense from the White House that they're moving more towards carrying out the economic capacity that is resulting from this widespread shutdown. In our statement, as people support, I knew that we shut down much of people to have it and people support it. And so moving this test out away and having different experts talk about these other issues. Well, I think that people will be taking a great deal in November about how their elected representatives handle this at the local, state, and federal level. We hear people in the media say, we must keep this stuff down going and going, and it's really not popular for people.
Well, just Grandpa here right now. Those are our flowers back in March, April. This is being done without a green screen. So I'm trying to figure out how to get the chair in the background out without taking me out of it. I may just get rid of the background. Not sure yet. If I don't move, it's fine. Kind of defeats the purpose. I can play Invisible Man. Well, just Grandpa here right now. flowers back in March, April. It's pretty good video, clarity. This is being done without a green screen. So I'm trying to figure out how to get the chair in the background out without taking the key out. I may just get rid of the background. I'm not sure yet. If I don't move, it's fine. That defeats the purpose. I can play Invisible Man. Well, there's Grandpa here right now. Pretty good video, clarity. Hope you guys all are safe up there. If they're watching. Hi, Dove. Hi, Dahlia. Grandma's in the other room working, so I get to play. You guys all are safe up there. If they're watching. Hi, Dove. Hi, Dahlia. Grandma's in the other room working.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
How you doing?
Very good. How are you?
All right.
Have you used this before?
What are we using? Zoom? Yes.
Zoom, yeah. Okay. Then you know your way around a little bit, right?
Very little.
Okay. When somebody else comes in, if you notice up in the upper right-hand side top, it'll say exit full screen. And if you do that, you get some controls along the bottom.
We have controls on the bottom now.
Yeah, reactions, if you click on that, gives you a chance to do a thumbs up or wave your hand, and it shows up on the upper left. Okay.
We see us in the top
Oh, good.
You see him.
and we see you in the bottom.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think you can change that. I think you can drag and make them bigger and smaller with the cursor.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
How you doing?
And I'm gonna turn. I have my phone on.
You've got more people.
No, that's my phone. Oh, more
Oh.
people coming. Yeah. Now, if you go to the microphone, there's a caret pointing up. You click on that, it gives you you can test your microphone and your stuff. And
It seems to be working fine.
the video, if you hit the caret on that, you can choose virtual backgrounds like
What'd you do?
huh?
Joe hit a button that he shouldn't hit.
Who? Me? Why? Because you
No, Joe did.
Can't hit any.
Start again?
I see you.
Yeah, well, we don't see you anymore.
That's because you're talking. Now you should.
Nope. It says your meeting should start in a few seconds.
Oh, well, then it should start in a few seconds. I don't know why.
Go back.
I'm showing you in the meeting, so.
No, we did this with a doctor once and it kept saying that for about half an hour.
Well, I got you. You're probably seeing me now with the sign behind me, right?
Get rid of that. No,
What's behind me?
nothing. We just get, your meeting should start in a few seconds.
There
Okay.
we are.
Now, wait a minute. We're seeing you now. You have a sign behind you.
Yes, I do. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Don't start
Oh, there you
the,
go. There you go.
Something about Joe somebody?
Yeah, now it's the Joe Peck sign.
he took the
Video off.
video off. We need to leave that on, don't we?
Yeah, you can leave it on. It's only us right now.
Put it on. Just hit it. There you go.
There you go. The chat feature, if you hit the chat feature, it allows you to talk to everybody or on the bottom, or if you click on that, to anybody in the group, which apparently will be just me right now, but as people join, you can send private messages.
Oh, no.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's weird. Oh, you've got a chair behind you. It keeps coming and going.
Yeah, that's why I changed backgrounds before. You know. Let me go back to this one.
I like this one.
Yeah, this one's not bad. Yeah, it all works.
This out front your house?
No, it's in the back of the house.
In the back of the house?
Yeah, that was last month when the flowers came up.
Yeah, your chair shows up. What?
There's the road.
Yes, dear.
You can see it's in the back.
Your chair shows up on this one or the other one, so it doesn't matter which background you use. Comes and goes.
I think less of me disappears in this one.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll put the other one up in a minute. No big deal.
I hope somebody else participates.
They will.
I'm expecting several more people, I hope. There's a lot going on in the county right now. At the last meeting that I'm going to change it again. At the last meeting I was listening to or participated in, they were talking that they expected the reserves to go down. Well, they expected the budget to be last year with the CAFR, the Certified Annual Report. It was $10 million short, and they felt they were going to be $10 million short this year, but they're surprised it's only $660,000 short. But the reason for that is they didn't go ahead with two projects, $8.7 million to buy some property and $1.6 million for a computer upgrade. Now, they were told not to do that this year. The only reason it didn't happen is the virus kicked in and they weren't able to buy the property they were looking at. So next year, so that comes back into the reserve.
Just yell at this point.
And that's boosting their reserves to $20 million. Next year, those expenses will come out and the reserves will drop back to 10 million. And that's where it should stay. What the reserves are used for is to pay for government over the summer. The county budget expires June 30th and doesn't get approved until October 1st, basically. So for July, August, and September, they run off reserves. That's what
Why is there such a span?
That's just the way the government operates here and the way the school board operated. School board was required to have a 3% reserve of its budget to cover salaries and whatnot, but there's no teachers in over the summer, and a lot of the employees were not annual employees, but 242 or 200-day employees, so they didn't get paid during the summer. So they didn't need a large salary, so they got away with it. But it's for cocky. It's just the way things are. Instead of being 18 months out, they go year to year. It would be better if they did it differently, I suppose. I mean, at the same time, with this coronavirus, the county has lost $2 million in revenue. And
Sure.
they haven't talked about how to make that up yet. That's a big issue, you know? Those are things that I have experience with the school board.
Well, they could always raise taxes.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Yeah. That's always an answer.
Just
Now,
what we want.
I'm putting up a chart, if you can see it. I don't know if it's side by side now or if there's a chart.
We got it.
Yeah. You take a look at this on the top. It's the year, revenue, expenses, and the difference. And where it says actual, when it gets down to the bottom, I'm going to scroll it down because it doesn't matter about 1994. But if you take a look, let me just change this. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Oh, I can't find it. If you take a look at 2018, for example, they budgeted $96 million and they spent 91, so they were in the plus 5,300,000. But if you go back to 2017, they lost 5,600,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, and in 2019, they estimated they'd be $6 million short. Excuse me, when the CAFR came in, this is an older report. This is almost 8 months old. CAFR was just approved, and it showed that's the certified annual report, showed they actually lost $10 million. So they've been overspending it and spending down the reserves for the last 10 years. If you take a look at the negative numbers running up that chart in 2008. And they had two solutions for 2020. They thought they'd either come in $10 million deficit or make an administrative solution, which was to rob the reserves and balance out. So turns out they're running about $660,000 in the red. And that does not account for the difference in the sales tax revenue and the gas tax revenue, which won't come in until another month or so down the road. It's all interesting. It's all part of it. It's what they don't do, you know?
Always is.
Yeah. So there should be some more people coming on.
People signed up and said they were coming on, right?
Yes, they did. And that's always a wonderful thing. This way I can see you and me at the same time. Yeah. But it's important to get the word out. You know, there's going to be no general election for this seat. There's no Democrats running.
Oh,
This race will be determined in the primary
In August.
in August, yeah. And I'm hoping I get the vote from Timber Pines because I live here, and I'd be looking out for our interests as well as the county interests. I think that's important. You know, if you take a look at when they wanted to build, the county was going to approve the building of that storage unit in the front of the between the two gates until we mounted the campaign. What do we get? 5 days notice if that was going to be going on? So, you know, that was a problem. And the other problem was when they wanted to turn off the water. You know, they came to Timber Pines in 2016 after we had signed the extension with the county for the reclaimed water out of the Oslo plant. And they
what's happening with that?
Well, what happened with that? What did happen is they came to us in let's see, in 2014, we being Timber Pines, went to the county commission and got a 10-year extension on reclaimed water from the year 2027 to 2037. We pay for the water, but we're the only customer that takes water out of that plant. We signed it, it went into somebody's drawer. County commission had approved it, but they never entered that into the county documents, into the plats. So 2016, Susan Goebbels came here and said, oh, by the way, and this was in May, they said, in September, we want to cut your water off for 6 months while we hook up the Hexham plant. And we went ballistic. Now, and we fought that because we had a contract. They wanted us also to pay for the new pumping station. And we said, no way, we paid for the first one. We were guaranteed we wouldn't have to pay for one. They changed all that. The Hexham plant did not go online until January 2020. 4 years later, 3.5 years later, reality. We would have no golf courses, no common grounds, and no property values. We'd be worth nothing. It's a good thing it didn't happen. That's why we need somebody from Timber Pines on the board, just protect our interests. And that's easy enough. Because if we get advance notice, we can stop things before they get that far along. So
what's going to happen in 2037? I mean,
who cares?
I'll be 95.
Yeah, who cares? I don't know. They'll probably extend it because by then we'll be hooked up to the other system and the capacity will be there.
Oh, okay.
The other two things, the county was projected to grow to 240,000 by the year 2030. That was before the epidemic hit, before the COVID-19. That's an increase of 50,000 people in the next 10 years. Right now, the chamber says our population is 193,000. Now, I don't know how this virus is going to play with the growth of population, but we're going to need stuff. We're going to need more schools, more jobs, more houses, and it's going to have a dramatic impact. School district gets sparsity income, which is $2.5 million from the state. And there's two components to them keeping that money. One is the population of the students has to be under 24,000. And the second one is there has to be less than, I think, 980 students in 4 high schools or some nonsense. Right now, the population is 23,500. If we bring in 10,000 people, they're going to exceed that. They're going to lose $2 million. They'll make it up somewhat on what they get per student, but not enough. And they'll have to build more schools. That's got to come from someplace. It's all fun. It's all good stuff. I have lots of ideas. One of them was to build the Port of Hernando, which is in the master plan. So I looked into it. I drafted a paper on how to do it. And
a port?
A port, yeah. Port of Hernando. Right here in Hernando Beach. I'm sorry?
For boats.
For boats, yeah. In Hernando Beach. We're on the water.
Beach. Hernando doesn't have a beach.
Well, there's a town called Hernando Beach.
I know it is, but it doesn't have a beach.
Yeah, and I am against that landlocked fiasco that they want to have a beach in Hernando Beach that's landlocked, an old strip mine or whatever you want to call it. I am so against that. I would not approve that.
Where would they put that?
I'm not sure if that's by the Three Sisters Springs
Oh,
in that area. Going down Oslo Boulevard behind the dump and all that. I'm not sure if that's where it was supposed to go, but I don't like that idea. If you're gonna have a beach at a town called Hernando Beach, it should be on the Gulf. It just doesn't make logical sense to have a landlocked beach in a beachfront community.
Yeah. You mentioned the dump. Are they going to be closing that dump?
What's that? The
The one
dump?
on Nassau Boulevard?
What, the dump or the plant?
The dump.
No, the dump is staying open. They just, your taxes went up $69 to them to be able to open up another cell so they can put more garbage in it.
Well, we just,
Okay, but that's not where they put the garbage. The one on Nassau Boulevard.
Well,
That's
that's
the
where they
transfer station.
put the solid waste that people bring in.
right.
Yeah, they haul it away. It doesn't.
It stays, they have a location it goes to.
Yeah.
Behind in that area, I think is where the garbage dump is. Because they talked about that $70 being used to open up another cell, because they have enough space, they say, to accommodate garbage for 99 years or 100 years. So
Well, we went to the recycling plant last week.
Yeah.
And we tried to get, turn in our cardboard.
Mhm.
And everything was cordoned off with that yellow caution tape. And there were 3 bins there and they were totally closed. Nothing else. We couldn't drop it off,
They're not taking recycles there anymore.
or at least not that day.
yeah, maybe that has something to do with the virus. I don't know. I really don't know what the reason is behind that. A lot going on.
Yeah, I asked the guy at the entrance if they were closing, and he said possibly.
Yeah.
It sounded like he knew they were going to, but
No, that dump is going to stay open, as far as I know. And again, that's why they upped your taxes by $70 for to dig out a new cell where they're going to put garbage, because they have enough room to put it for 100 years. Next 100 years, all told. We just have to make it that far without having the taxes raised, and this is not the time to raise taxes.
No.
Our unemployment rate is back up almost to 6%. So it's at 5.8%, but the same rate it was in 2008 through 2011, and it's climbing. So we really need to get those people to work before we get too many more people in here.
Right.
That's what
yeah, people are having trouble getting unemployment.
No, yeah, but how long does it last? 12 weeks? Then what do you do?
Yeah, well, they haven't even received it yet, and they've been out of work for 6 weeks.
At least
6 weeks, and they just can't get online and finish the form before it starts them all over again. So
I applied for stimulus money with a small business. I do investigations. By the way, I was thinking of you the other day, Joe. And
Yeah.
I tried for stimulus money and I couldn't get it. I'm too small.
Too
I don't have
small.
enough for it. Yeah, there was somebody looking for a fingerprint expert. So I said, I said, I know somebody who stays in Central Florida. I said, you're highly qualified, but they didn't follow through to give me their information. I would have passed it along to you.
Well, I'm not really looking for work right now.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But I think if something came along, most of this is after the fact. It's interpretation, so
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been too much anyway, and it's just like a couple of extra dollars would be good.
Yeah, it's nothing. I should put. It would be nothing dangerous or exciting for whatever a PI does is usually after the fact.
Oh, you just take the finger and stick it on the ink and then give it a twist and you got it.
Oh, this is prints though. This is getting prints and interpreting. I guess I don't know. That didn't happen.
Interpreting prints.
I mean, I belong to a couple associations. So I was trying to get people to come on to do this because I need to get the message out. I need to get money into the campaign.
Yes.
To do a mailing of 25,000 mailers, it's cost about $10,000. I need to do one of those, but getting the funding to do it is one of the problems.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
It's an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Timber Pines June, July, and August. I'm going in a bunch of different publications with ads, but it's expensive. And that,
Yeah, that, I'll tell you, I never thought much of, mail brochures anyway.
yeah.
I, like most people, usually just throw them out.
Yeah, but if it passes by
But
your
look at
eyes,
yours.
you're gonna read it. Like the thing that's standing up to have up is basically what the mailer is. But there's a backside to it. So
Yeah, and you can't go door to door, so.
no, can't do that.
Now, would it cost you much to put an ad in the Hernando Sun?
I've done that. It starts in 2 weeks, and then I have one going into. I have one in the Beachcomber in Hernando Beach. I'm going into the Wellington, Glen Lakes, Brookridge.
Those aren't cheap
I'm
to
paid-
go in. Yeah, those aren't cheap to go into the magazines that they put out.
No, they're not. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Good so far.
Jerry's on.
We hear you.
Good.
You're very soft. If you
I
want,
don't-
you can turn your camera on, Jerry.
I remember what I looked like.
Yeah, but we don't. We're old.
Oh, well. I'm not sure how I do that.
It should be a line through the image, the icon. There you go.
There I am.
There you are.
It's not that I'm not looking at you. I've got two screens open and I'm looking at the bigger screen.
Yeah. So you're probably seeing us on one screen and the palm card on the other screen.
Yes, that's good.
Mhm. Have you used this medium before?
I've watched Zoom get-togethers. I've never gotten to participate in one before. I keep thinking, gee, should be a good thing to become familiar with because we're probably going to be using it a lot. And I got a couple of my kids, grandchildren, their birthdays coming. I'm not going to get to be there for that. It would be a great tool to at least participate in that.
Yeah. See, what I'm doing here is one of the features that when you put stuff up, I got this red thing floating around my head, So that's
target.
yeah. So only thing is I don't know how to turn it off.
Gone.
No, it's
The
not.
red thing.
It's not gone
Oh,
from the
once
cursor.
again.
And then if you there's a chat feature, Jerry. If you hit the chat feature, you can talk to people individually.
Oh, okay.
He can hear us right this way, can he?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm hearing that apparently everybody speaks up.
Mhm.
It appears that way.
Whoa, what's that?
That's a good question.
Oh, I was just moving stuff around.
There you go.
No, we can read your email if you keep it up.
Yeah, well, you're not going to see my emails. What you're looking at is some other stuff.
That's a more typical display. I think.
Yeah, now this is more typical. If you hit the chat, it opens up that side panel, and you can chat to one person or everybody if you'd like. On the bottom it says to everyone, and if you click on that, now that there's more than one person here, you can go individually to people.
Well, we may have to run our next Republican Club meeting this way.
Yeah, now,
How many people go at once?
I subscribe to this, so I can get up to 100 people, and there's no time limit. The free version cuts you off after 40 minutes.
Unless you can prove that it's educational.
Enough for the club.
No.
So, I subscribe to it. So if the club wanted to use it, I don't have a problem with that. I'd make it available.
The way things are going, we've been trying. Of course, we were trying to get a forum for all the commissioner candidates here next week. That's not going to happen. I mean, you feel kind of helpless. I mean, as perhaps you do, Mark, as well. I mean, I don't think they're going to put the primary off, but how do you reach out to people?
Well, that's how do you raise money? That's the other issue.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I was just saying to Joe that to mail out 25,000 mailers, the cost is $10,000. So how do you raise that money if you can't fundraise? You know, it's impossible to call everybody you need to talk to and get money in. And everybody right now, people are hurting for money, so it's difficult to get. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Are you going to join us and open up a video?
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do this.
Well, on the bottom, there's a camera with a line through it. Just click on the line, it'll go away. It's very simple.
Is that it?
Not yet.
No, not yet. On the bottom, do you have a camera hooked up, Mike?
I don't think so.
Maybe that's the problem. But
Could be a key.
see that share screen function, which if you see on the bottom, I'll put up.
I'm on my cell
Put
phone,
that back up.
doing this on my cell phone.
When I put the share screen up, I have an image that I can throw up that you can see, or a PowerPoint, or a video.
It did show up and it disappeared.
Ah, okay. It's probably on a second screen. I'm going to close it out anyway.
He said he was on his cell phone.
Yeah, cell phones are tough. And then I can do something else here. No, I don't want to do that. I can't. Usually I should set that up. I could do a poll, an exit poll at the end, but I didn't set it up in advance, so I don't want to take the time to do it. But as I was saying, Jerry, the numbers came out from the chamber. Our unemployment now is 5. There you go. There's Mike.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Hello, Mike.
The chamber's unemployment numbers now show 5.8% unemployment, which is what we were at back in 2014-15, where we were in the top 3 of the state for a long time. So, and the county has lost between 1.6 million and $2 million in revenue in sales tax and gasoline tax and hotel taxes. So we got to get that squared away. Everything I think I wanted to do, the Port of Hernando, expanding the airport to bring business in, that might still be viable, but a lot of that's going to have to be on hold until we can get the budget squared away. It's a wreck right now.
He's dark because he's got a window behind him.
Yeah, I was telling the Pecs, they were here earlier. You know, after the certified annual report came in and showed in 2019, the county lost $10 million over what they spent 10 million more than what was budgeted, and it came out of the reserves. Now this year they thought they were going to lose 10 million, but so far they're doing real well and only on track to lose 660,000. And the reason for that is they wanted to buy property at the airport for the county administration to move into, and they didn't do it because of the virus, and they had pushed off a computer upgrade that was 1.6 million. That's going to come into play next year. But with the increase in the property tax, we should be okay. That should wash it out. And the reserves are used to pay for the government over the summertime, which is really important. That's got to be done. We've got to get that unemployment rate down. We're expected to grow to, excuse me, 240,000 people. We're at 193 as of the report that came out by Chamber of Commerce, which coincides with what I had. I had it at 189,000.
We're recording.
I'm sorry?
We've got a button up there. It says we're recording.
Yeah, I'm recording it for prosperity.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Be careful what you say.
Well, you never know. I say something that's good. You know, we got to cover those shortfalls got to get that going. We can't raise taxes. I mean, you got businesses that are flat and trying to recover. They're not going to have money to pay more taxes. People are not going to have money to pay more taxes. A lot of them that haven't worked, as Joe and were saying, that they have no money, no income, so they have to repay. So we have to live within our means. We got to keep our hands out of the cookie jar. I did that when I was on the school board. I can do that on the county commission. I can look out for the interest in Timber Pines. We had two major issues come up before us, and we were fortunate we caught them in time. One was when they wanted to put that self-storage unit between the two gates, which is why we bought Lot 8, to prevent that from happening. The second one was when they wanted to cut off the reclaimed water for 6 months, which turned into 4 years before the second plant was hooked up, 3.5 years. It was mid-2016, they were going to pull the plug on us. They said, oh, 6 months, you'll have your water. That went online in January 2020. We would have no property value. All the golf courses would have died. Swift Mud was not about to give us 1.5 million gallons a day to water our common ground. No way would they allow that. It would have created too many sinkholes and too much.
Who's running against you?
Joe Swiley and Beth Navarro.
Oh,
Beth doesn't care about anything about Beth. Joe is a nice guy, but he doesn't have the education. When I was on the school board, I was always preaching to the students to apply for scholarships. There's about $100,000 worth of local scholarships that are offered, and a lot of them are not taken advantage of. The charity fund in Timber Pines offered 3 $1,000 scholarships 1 year, and they had one student apply. It's such a waste. So the odds are pretty good. You can get a lot of these little scholarships. $1,000 will pay for PHSC for the first year. Excuse me. With the Pell Grant, it'll pay for the administration, the books, and get them started. And if they have a good enough average, they can run that and continue in education. So I applied for scholarships. I got my master's in public administration while I was on the school board. So I got, in fact, in December of 2018.
Mark, can I chime in on education?
I'm sorry?
I've got a couple of grandchildren that are one's in college, two in college, one's in high school. And I asked them, what's going to happen in the fall? And the answer is nobody knows. The schools don't know. I mean, I understand it's extremely hard for anybody to do any planning, but they've already lost a significant amount of time because the schools have been closed for a month, and they're not going to open again any sooner than fall, if then. And it seems to me this perhaps is an opportunity to try to, and I understand you got to get the school board to sit and consider all this as well. But a lot of people may want to learn trade because, as you say, if we're going to build up reduce the unemployment here, that's got to come through trade. In my opinion, assuming that the general economy picks up and people start thinking about house improvements and new houses building, or we get some companies who come move into the airport. We can bemoan the fact that some companies are going out of business, but they're going to go out of business whether we're sad about it or not. But there's still business opportunities out there as a result of bankruptcy. How about people, companies moving to Hernando County because, we'll welcome them and it'll be a better environment for them financially. But always one of the issues is, well, I'm bringing a family, I've got kids, what's the educational system like? So it's important that the commission, start looking at issues, maybe they're not going to control, but make sure that they're getting the right kind of support from and giving it where necessary to the educational system.
One of the things, if you look at the growth of the county, and I don't know how the virus is going to impact it. Again, the experts in Tallahassee and the county government say we should be at a population of 240,000 in the year 2030. That's 50,000 more people in the next 10 years. We need more homes. We need more jobs. We're going to need more schools. What Arlene and I have done is we started a nonprofit, and we have 10-week courses teaching basic skills in the building trades. And we charge $25. We don't make a penny on this. We lose money on it. And we give people enough skills to get hired in entry-level positions. If this fallout, the shakeout that's going on happens, a lot of people are going to need jobs, and that's an avenue to go in. That's the kind of economic development that the county needs to take on. That and get together with the manufacturers. There's some good ones at the airport that are sustaining their businesses. They need some people with trained skills. One thing I initiated at the airport when I was on the school board, by the way, was a program with Spirion Staffing. We went to Barrett Industries. Spirion is their HR department. And we took 15 students not going to college with no skills and put them on the floor of the factory. And they worked around in the second half of the senior year. They went from department to department. At the end of the year, they hired people. They had a big turnover. And Skip over there was appreciative. He's hired about 15 people out of the school, right out of high school, to work on the floor at $15, $16 an hour. While they were in school and in this little intern program, they were getting $11 an hour. So it gave them the initiative to go and work, and it works. These kind of programs, these public-private partnerships work. There's a lot of nonprofits that have money out there that they can use to train people in different trades and different functions, and it doesn't cost the company anything, which right now, most companies are looking to save if they can. So if you can give them somebody who has a skill set to get started in their business, you can take an owner who can guide them down the path, just like the four of us have learned how to grow in a job while you're working it. The idea is to get them in the floor, get them on the job, and get them started, and let them grow. With that little training program, we're in the middle of a rough carpentry and framing class. I have 3 classes left, and that'll be done. And then we're going to begin doing one for drywall. There's a shortage for all laborers in all the trades. There's no reason it can't be done economically and efficiently with a public-private partnership. And I'm a big proponent of those. I did those all the time at the school district. It works. You know, I started one program. I went to the high schools, and I went to the principals. I said, what do you need that's not being done construction-wise? Because they had a big deficit. This is before the increase in the sales tax. And Mrs. Booker, the principal at Hernando High, said her press box at the football field was condemned. She'd like to have it replaced. My idea was to have the students build it. I got a general contractor who had an engineer design the plans. They were approved by the building department that was in the school district at the time. We had to do a study on the concrete bleachers to see if they could support the change in weight. Turned out they couldn't. They needed rebar and some reinforcement. Finally, that was done, and they decided the weight of that structure was too heavy that they bought a prefab. But I'm flexible enough to go with whatever worked. But I wanted students to build that, to give them a skill set. Same reason, 40% of the graduates don't go to college. So we got 600 kids coming out every year doing nothing. So what are they going to do? They're going to rob you and me and everybody else. They're going to sell drugs on a street corner, or they're going to move out. We're going to have a dead county. Give them skills, get them to work. I mean, 100 go into the military, 100 don't want to work, never will, and the other 400 have a tough time finding jobs. That's what I honestly believe in. That. I don't believe in raising the minimum wage. I believe in raising skill sets. I have all along, and so has Arlene. If you know my wife, you know I'm telling you the truth. Wow, I'm passionate about it. I want to do good for this county. The thing I'm having trouble with right now is raising money so I can do more. Without being able to get together and have fundraisers, it's hard. So that's the other reason I'm doing these little videos, online things. If you can see your way through, I'll put out my email address. There's a link. I am going to have a horse race at the fairgrounds on May 30th. Wooden horses. So that will be very interesting. And if you go to my website, I just put it up on chat. If you see a little #1, or if you have that chat open, that is my website address. There's a link to PayPal if you want to make a donation. Or you want to wait. Now the fundraiser I'm having.
Johnson. Hey, you got to put it back. I didn't get it all.
Mark
How long
Johnson,
is that, Mark Johnson? I want the rest of it.
4 BOCC, number 4 BOCC.com. And then if you go there, there's a link to.
I think you,
I'm sorry?
We're being recorded.
just noticed?
Yeah, I'm recording it. This way I can correct mistakes. Excuse me. But this horse race will be on May 30th. It's a Saturday night at the fairgrounds. It's a wooden horse race. It'll be in the auditorium.
How are you gonna make those horses move?
Oh, it's gonna be fun. They move very slowly because they're made of wood. But there's room there for 400 people at tables, so I'm gonna space them out, 100 people, 6 feet apart in tables of people that know each other. So that if you're with a friend, I'm calling them help betters walk around and take your bets. And if you want to walk up to a window, you can do it. Should be a lot of fun.
Wear your mask.
Wear a mask. Why not? Arlene does when she goes out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so her immune system is compromised.
Okay, I assume you have to get a permit from somebody to hold that event.
No alcohol. I'm just having hot
Have
dog.
you read Governor DeSantis' latest output on rules and regulations?
Yeah.
My reading of it, which I printed out and read it today, that would not be a legal get together today. Now, the end of the month is a long time away. I'm not saying things will change, but I'd hate to see you get down the road and somebody say, well, you know, we didn't approve that, and I'm not sure who would have to approve it.
Okay, now a few things happened. DeSantis also left a lot up to the counties, as long as they stay within the guidelines. So what he said is restaurants, and this is considered a restaurant or a catering hall, can be at 25% capacity. Capacity where I'm going is 400 with tables, 600 without. So I can have 100 people in there comfortably and be within guidelines. What the county has said for restaurants, and it's not what I'm doing, if they want to put tables outside and abide with the social distancing of 6 feet apart, they can put as many tables as they want outside, and there's no special permitting or whatnot required because they're considering it temporary. So they're allowing the restaurants to at least be at 75 or 80% capacity so they can survive. Because a lot of them cannot survive serving 25%.
Yeah, I understand. That provision was in DeSantis' paper as well.
Yeah.
Outside is different. You still have to maintain the distance, you know, the 6 feet.
Yeah.
But if you've got enough space, you can have a lot of people out there.
Yeah, now if you take somebody like, what do you call it? Oh, I can't think. The one over by Publix, the Gators restaurant, right? They have that whole parking lot. If they wanted to, as long as they don't block the throughway, you know, the through street that goes along the curb, they could put 20 tables in front of their place. If the guys next to them are closed, and an example they gave is if you're sitting next to a bank and the bank is closed, they don't mind you using their parking lot to park people at night. You can open up in your own parking lot, 20 tables. They don't care. At a county, that is, because they want to see the businesses survive. It's important to bring it back. We're sitting at a little less than 6% unemployment right now. That's very high. We led the county. We led the state. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we led the state 2014, 15, 16 with the 3rd highest unemployment. And we don't need to stay there. We need to get away from that. And one of the ways to do that is either by training people into new professions or allowing as many businesses as we can to open up safely. And I think safety is the big key. What do you think, Mike?
I think this all came up at the wrong time with this virus and all of this. This is going to kill everybody. It's going to kill campaigns and everything. I'm involved in a lot of stuff, and like even my church, we can't get together because you can't have 10 or more people in one group. So what I see is that there's I was on a conference call a couple of weeks ago. Oh God, who put me on that one? I can't even remember now. When you're home so long, you can't remember what the heck is going on. But anyway, there's a phone bank that this girl started, and you call, like, it dials automatically in random telephone numbers, and to ask the person if they're, you know, a Republican or Democrat, do they want any information? And I've been doing that for the Republican Party, and I get great response off of that for, you know, campaigning of Trump running again and all of that stuff. And it's a good tool. And I can't remember I would have to get off and probably email it to you, the website, which is phenomenal. I don't know who found it, but whoever did, it was somebody from, actually, somebody on the county commissioner. I
Well,
think
you know,
found it.
part of the problem, and going back years ago, and we were Democrat, and when Obama got elected, what he did is he devastated the local elections. Everything was geared towards him. He went into the local DEC, just like the REC, and he took all their contributors and got that list and got them to give money to him. And what happened is they eroded their base in the local and state governments, and that's why they're one of the reasons they're in that pickle. You know, and working for the National Party, working for Trump is a great thing. I hope he gets elected, because I'd hate to see what we put up with. You know, we'd have Joe who has no brain. You know, who's the show behind him? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Michelle Obama? Is it going to be Hillary? We don't know at this point. It wouldn't
You
be,
said it. You just said, Mark, you just said it.
yeah, one of the two.
It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, well, look at all the shenanigans going on, and who's behind it all. You go back to the DNC, you go back to Hillary, you go back to the emails, you go back to Ukraine, you go to China with Joe. What about that $1.4 billion LLC or investment his son's supposed to realize?
Yeah.
What's that all about? Is that all about the equipment that PPE that China is hoarding because they let the virus spread? You know, this is economic warfare.
I think you're actually absolutely right. We are at war with China, and we don't want to talk about that. I mean, we say, well, we haven't declared war. We don't have to declare. It's like when they were blowing up our buildings. Did we declare on the war on terror? We did say that. But if they think they're at war, we're at war. And what China has done, as far as I'm concerned, is an act of war. Ask yourself how Ronald Reagan beat the Soviets. We didn't bomb them. We didn't go over and drop drones on them or anything. We beat them economically. We drove their economy into the ground. They could not continue, and it folded up. That's what China is trying to do to us and all the rest of the world.
I think they almost succeeded, and I think they did not succeed because of what Trump did. From what I read someplace, between the time that the outbreak happened and Trump stopped China travel from China, 430,000 Chinese came to America, and all from the Wuhan province. If that's the case, that was 450,000 people spreading this virus in America. And the idea was to destroy our economy. Did a pretty good job.
They did the same thing all over Europe.
Yeah,
Europe is still a lot worse off than we are.
Yeah.
You know, Great Britain, England is, they had more deaths than we have, and with a much smaller population, more than Italy. And you know who survived that? Who stopped it? Australia and New Zealand, because they immediately, when Trump stopped the Chinese from sending more planes here, they said, we're stopping it as well. And they kept thousands and thousands of Chinese who had been like students in Australia and had gone home. They didn't let them come back. Okay? And now they are way ahead of most of the rest of the world. I think it was an act of war for China to send those people out and to lie about the disease that they were carrying.
I think we should throw all the Chinese students out. You know, they had that 1,001 Talents, if you know that program, where they were recruiting college professors who are in different technological fields to bring themselves and the proprietary information to China to work for a semester and then come back to the US so they could steal it. And it was a very successful program they had going on. The guy in Boston in charge of their biology department is the one who got arrested along with a student who's actually a lieutenant in their army, posing as an assistant or a student. They both got arrested for taking proprietary biological information to China or trying to get it out of the country. And it's nonsense. We have to protect our own. But my problem, Mike, is everybody is participating at a national level and funds are limited. So if when they're donating at that level, they don't look at the local level. They go, oh, you guys will be all right. You don't need any money. Yeah. If I do a mailing of 25,000 pieces, which is a lot, it costs me $10,000. So how do I get my message out? How do I get my message out to 25,000 key voters in Hernando County so I can win an election? And that's what I'm looking to do. That's what I need to do. You know, I'm hitting all the media advertising. If I can afford it, I'll be putting signs out on the roadway again. If I can afford it, I'll be doing radio commercials. I think they were good. I had them out a couple of years ago. I really liked them. It's expensive. They're $50 a 30-second segment. That's a lot of money. It's another $1,000 down the tubes there. And if you do the mailing, it adds up. You know, and I'm not attracting the big donors. You go to the big donors right now; they're all businessmen. They're saying we have no income. You know, I was talking to one of the larger law firms. I do investigations. That's my trade. I was talking to one of the larger law firms here, and he said, "We furloughed half our staff. We can't afford to give any donations this year." So my sources are not getting the benefits of the stimulus money, and they, you know, and it doesn't trickle out because there's nothing there. It's rough. I'm not the only one having this problem, but you know, it's everybody. The only good thing in this county going on right now, and I don't know if it'll change, is there's no Democrats running. Now, the pre-qualifying ends on May 11th for petitions and whatnot. I qualified back in February because I went out, I worked this. I worked my tail off to get my signatures. Joe got his during the epidemic where they changed the rules where you could send in photocopies. Beth never wrote who's my opponent, never bothered. She thinks she's entitled. She's going to pay her way on it. So, you know, that's what's going on. We have a Republican race for this seat, which was held by John Mitten, who cannot run because he doesn't live in the district, or I wouldn't run because he's an honorable man. I wouldn't even attempt it. You know, and I think I'm the best qualified, the only one with any kind of college. I mean, I have my master's, but neither one of the other two have any college. Joe's claim was he was a peacetime veteran. Really, it doesn't understand government. He was never involved in government accounting. I don't have a high opinion of Beth because I worked with her on the school board, and I'll just let it go at that. And I don't hold grudges and do it, you know, for a long time. I'm the only one who did programs above what we were paid to do because it was good for the students. I started about scholarships earlier. I started doing seminars on applying for scholarships. I started reading scholarships on a radio show because some of them were ludicrous. One of them was for the student to go take a picture with a senior citizen, write a 100-word caption on what you're doing, submit it to a website, and whoever got the most likes won a $10,000 scholarship. And they couldn't give it away. I mean, this is incredible. So we started the Educators Club in Timber Pines. Arlene and I and Dennis Cronin and Bob Shaw started that. I worked with the Gentlemen's Clubs, which were originally in Pine Grove and Eastside Elementary. I did a study on them. Those clubs with those boys wearing monogrammed shirts and ties, saying yes sir, no ma'am, and taking the trays, reduced behavioral incidents in the schools by 60%. That gave an awful lot of instruction time back to the teachers. And the grade in the schools went from an average of 79 GPA up to an 82. And that's 600 students. So, you know, it's a lot that I did that I'm proud of. And I talked about the apprenticeship programs I started within the schools. I still run them because I believe in them. And I was never a teacher. I was just on the school board. But, you know.
You know, I was just looking that up, Mark. It was called Side Stick. No, Sidekick. Kick. And that's where you make the phone calls. You
Sidekick.
just press one button and they keep on rotating.
Mhm.
You don't know who you're going to get, but I tell you what, it's been working with doing it for Trump. I mean, people are really enthused.
I have a list of all the voters in the county by broken down by party, by precinct.
Right.
You know, but to get people, I don't have an organization like Trump does. I don't have 50 or 100 people making calls. You know, I'm limited. I may get 8 people that can make calls for me. I did that another time before. What can you have a volunteer do? Work 2 hours? 2 hours a day is a lot. And how, you know, you're going to reach people. You reach probably 4,000 people, but talking to them one-on-one is better. Or getting out that in front of them.
Mark, you know, suppose you can reach 4,000 people with the right message. I mean, that could be all it takes to win if you talk to the right people.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether you've gone back to the supervising elections to find out who actually voted in the last primary.
I have that.
Well, the typical turnout is 30% or less. And so if you got, how many Republicans are there in the county? 40,000 or something like that?
I have that. I have it for the last. I have it for.
Yeah, so you focus on the people that cared enough to vote, and you know they'll be sensitive to the fact that you know that voting in the primary is important because the winner, in the case of the commissioner, the winner in the primary is going to wind up winning in the fall.
That's the 25,000 people I'm talking about. I would think that they have phone numbers. Probably, I'm going to guess on this, about 6,000 of them. And I'm going to guess that half of those phone numbers are bad because my prior experience taught me that. So I may end up, if I'm lucky, with 4,000 phone calls. But how many phone calls can somebody dial on their own cell phone? Because I don't have the luxury of buying those numbers from a service like that or doing robocall. People hate robocalls. And you get about 8 seconds and then the person hangs up. So you have to make that impression right away and hopefully it lasts. That has a poor rate of return. It's one way to do it. Getting something out in the mail has about a 3 or 4% return. You know, so I got to get signs up, which will happen. I got print ads going out in all the publications. Next Hernando Sun, if you get it, I'll have it. I have a 16th of a page ad or an 1/8 of a page ad. I'm in Hernando Beach. I'm in all the publications. It's going in Timber Pines. I'm going in Timber Pines as a resident because I live here. And it's going to be an open primary. It's just not going to be Republicans. It's going to be Republicans and Democrats. There's nobody qualified.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, another thing, maybe you've already got this well under control too. You can't call everybody, and you probably will never get enough volunteers to call everybody. But if those that you do reach or you already know are supporters, how many friends do they have? How many people would they be willing, you know, to just email or point their friends toward your website or whatever you got on YouTube? I don't know what you actually have, but tell people, hey, if they can tell their friends, just go take a look at this. They don't have to say, you know, give them a spiel about you. You know, this is coming up. You know, the election's important. You know, go take a look at this guy. I think he's got some good ideas. I mean, you need to build the pyramid. You know, you can't reach them all yourself, but if everybody you can reach reaches out to 2 more, and they reach out to 2 more, you know, then you've got a reasonable number.
But where I've made gains are people that I know were friendly with Beth are now looking and voting for me and telling me they're voting for me and they're talking to their friends about me. That's where I'm making gains. I know the people that I know are all going to come around. I'm going to get them and they're going to tell their friends. That's one of the reasons I like to have these online meetings. It gives me a chance to talk to people like Mike. I haven't talked to Mike before. Hello. And that gives me a chance to meet somebody else. I mean, you know, my ideas for the airport, for example, are a little different than most people. And we have a tower, and the idea with the tower was to get a custom agent in Hernando. So how do we do that? We do that because all the livestock that comes into Florida, which is basically quarter horses and some steer, go into Miami. They're quarantined for 30 days, and then they get trucked out to wherever they go, up here to Central Florida. We can handle that at our airport. We have the space, we have the land, we have the people to look after those animals after they land. That would get us a custom agent up from Tampa to work this airport. If we have enough flights, they would station somebody here. Once we get an agent here, the idea is that would open us up to traffic in Central and South America to bring goods into America. We are ideally situated for any kind of hub center. You know, we're 1.5 hours from Orlando, that port. We're an hour from Tampa. We have the light rail system here. We're right off 75. We got all the great connections with transportation. So if we could land a commercial concern, we have an agreement with Tampa Regional not to do commercial flights, pedestrian or commercial flights. We can do cargo. We can do a lot of cargo here and make a ton of money, because what will happen is we'll need places to store them. We'll need people to move that cargo. We'll create jobs. We'll create industry in Hernando without destroying it, because we have all the property at the airport that was designed for that. It's not being used to fulfill its purpose. And to me, that's a no-brainer. We can get that started now. And it's not that expensive.
Is that strip at the airport long enough for commercial?
7,000 feet. 7,000 feet. It was originally, I think it was B-17s or B-52s that came in during World War II. It's a real long airport. And they came here, they fueled, and they went someplace else. I don't remember. Of course, I don't know all the details, but that's what I've been told. So they were told if they have to, they need to add maybe 200 feet to the runway to get in a C-30 to C-135 or whatever it is. I'm not sure what the stopping distance is. We can get that here in Hernando. That would be a boom. I mean, that's a great business. It doesn't really cost us a whole bunch. We got all that land, we got a lot of agriculture. We're close to Central Florida, where the horses go and the cattle come from. It doesn't come from down south. It comes from here. You know.
Mark, you got a lot of good ideas. We just got to get on board and get you voted in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, my other idea, which is on hold because we just can't afford it, I was saying a little early, is the Port of Hernando. It's been in the master plan for 2030. I think it's in for 2040. And I found property that was in the shape of a horseshoe. It was 1,000 acres, a mile off shoreline. The state government pays for a lot of the development. Not knowing how much the land costs, but if you built the roadway out to where it is, and you built a pier, and you got the seafood company on Caliente to turn around and construct the building, and you lease them the property, and you lease them slips, and you put a marina there, you now solve two problems. You take the fishermen out of Hernando Beach in the middle of the canals, which is a lot of grief, and you put them at a place north of the canals that gives them direct access into the Gulf. When they dredge that out, two things happen. PHSC, by the way, would pay for half of this because they want to put a marine biology lab at that location. You let the developer take a sliver of the land and keep it. You put high-end condominiums. If you have to dredge again, that bad D word, you're making it deep enough where the luxury yachts and vessels can come in. Now you're really charging a lot of money. We do not make money. The county does not make money off the Hernando Beach Seafood Company or Inc. Because it's a wholesale operation. They don't charge sales tax. All they do is pack it in ice and ship it out. So if we turn around and move them out of the canals, charge them a lease, there'll be revenue coming into the county. The same thing with the slips. And then the people in Hernando Beach would stop bitching and moaning about the smell and the pollution and the 33 boats that go in and out of the canals every day, disrupting things. And the Army Corps of Engineers would be happy because nobody would have to make their docks shorter. They get the 50-foot vessels, which have a 19-foot beam, and 2 of them can't pass each other, so they're restricted on how many they can have in there. It's a win-win for everybody. But that's about maybe a $500,000 proposition to get started. So it's a good thing not to do right now. We don't have it. We got to get businesses that are here back up and running before we do anything. That's, priority for priority. When I was on the school board, I was talking with PHSC. I wanted to get a commercial grade 3D printer, not one that prints in plastics, but one that prints in carbon composites, which you can use in tool and die making. If you're making a machinery and you're trying to make a part, generally, from what I understand, is you draft it, you ship it out to a machinist, they tool it, they make it, they ship it back to you 3 months later, you put a part in the machine and it fails. Make a new calculation, you send it back to the machinist, 3 months later, he sends you the part. If you have a 3D printer that prints in these carbon composites that are almost as strong as metal, you can turn around and print it overnight. So now you have a part, you design it, you print it, you come in the morning, it's ready, put it in the machine, it doesn't work, you make your adjustments, print another one, the next day, you're already looking at your changes. It cuts your production time down dramatically. One other thing I did, when I was on the school board, one of the problems we have at Timber Pines is with commercial work, but they had 9 stops for a project when they wanted to do new construction before the school board. Each stop is 45 days. It's got to go to a workshop, and then it's got to go to a board meeting. So we cut that down to the state limitation or statutes, which was the initial design has to be approved by the school board, the initial contract, and the final payment. And if it was on time, under budget, there was no reason we had to stop a project just because they wanted a signature to go to the next step. Even with a change order, if it comes in under the budget, with no reason to go before a board. It's stupidity. It just slows things down. That doesn't mean they don't have to come and give you a report, but you don't have to stop a project. I took those out. That was one of the things I did when I was on the school board. And that's what should be going on the county level with commercial projects. We have that going on with the crap house with the park project. I don't know if you live here, Mike. If you live in Timber Pines or not.
I live in the county, the far end of Norfolk County Line Road.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you understand what I'm talking about then. You got a lot of building going on that way, on county line, awful lot.
Yeah, that new road that's coming in and all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big project.
Oh, yeah. The other thing going on in this county, which makes no sense to me, is that in 2000, I think it was 2017, they had the hurricane that came through. And 2 weeks after the hurricane, the people living along the Withlacoochee River in Ridge Manor were flooded out. There was 123 families that were underwater. The kids were taking rowboats to the shore, which was actually a field, so they could take the bus to school. That's the only place they were getting meals. And I mentioned that in our little village at a Christmas party. We raised $1,000 in 3 days to help them out. And the reason that water floods is that turns into the Hillsborough River downstream, down south of us. And there's a gate that Swiftmud owns. So what they did is they closed the gate to stop it from flooding in Hillsborough County so it wouldn't wipe out the more expensive homes. And in the summertime, when the water is low, they open it up and they take it from here and they push it down so it's up higher. So Hernando County always gets the short end of that. I'd like to get that water redirected somehow, where when we have a hurricane or there's heavy rains, it doesn't flood. It goes back into the green swamp or the orange lake or someplace away from houses. It affected too many people up here. Yeah. There's a lot going on. You got sinkholes by where you are too, right? You got a lot of sinkholes by county line?
Not really. They said that we had it in our development, which it wasn't. It wasn't really sinkholes. It was the way the developer put in the sewer system into the retention ponds, and two houses were ready to sink in, but that wasn't anything to do with the, they called it a sinkhole in the beginning. And then they clarified it about a month later saying, no, it wasn't a sinkhole. Because people got up in arms. And we knew what, I didn't think it was a
Are you
sinkhole.
in,
The
are
first
you in
one.
Avalon?
What's that?
Are you in Avalon?
No, in Trillium.
Oh, okay. It's really a nice area. It's a nice
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
There's 80,000 houses that are storehouse to be built in projects. And the builders all submitted plans when the impact fees were zero. And as long as they pay a fee every couple of years, they can hold those spots and those designs, and they're legal. And that's what they're doing. And that's why if you take a look by Oak Hill Hospital, there's 500 low-cost housing units going up. There's 2,000 going up by 50 and 75. We got a lot of growth going on. It's going to really impact the school district too. When it hits 24,000 students, it's going to lose its varsity income. There's nothing that Simpson or Blaze can do about it. It's going to go away. That includes the kids in virtual schools. When I looked at those numbers at the beginning of the year, they were at 23,500. We get 500 more kids in this county in school, they're going to suffer. And they won't be able to pay their bills. They pay $10 million a year to serve debt service. And that's Wikiwachi High School and Winding Waters. It's going to cripple them. And a new elementary school costs $30 million to build. We have $6 million in an impact fee fund. So somebody's going to have to pay for that.
Hey, Mark, is there a phone number that I could talk to you sometime tomorrow?
Sure. You got a pen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 688-6118.
688
6118.
6118.
Yep. And I put my Gmail is in that chat. If you click on chat, you'll see there's a couple little messages from me in there.
Okay, so this is area code 352?
Yeah.
688-6118.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you open up that chat on the bottom of the screen, it says chat. You'll see where I put both the website and my email address for you.
Okay. Chat doesn't have it.
It opens up over on the side. You may not have a place for it.
You're on a phone, Mike?
Yeah, I'm on an Android phone.
Yeah.
Doesn't-
All right, if you call me out, mine are very complicated. Everything basically is Mark Johnson for BOCC, but in the email it's just M Johnson for BOCC at Gmail.
Okay.
And Board of County Commission. Well, I'm glad we got a chance to talk. Do you have any ideas, Jerry, how to solve the county's problems?
No, I'm afraid I don't. You obviously have a lot of insights into what's going on. I was going to ask you about the sewage processing plant. Is anything really in the works for them to do it? The one over by Walmart.
That's going to be closed.
I know, and that so the sewage is going out to the airport, right, and the water back. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's the airport and there's one on Hexham. So Timber Pines is going to get reclaimed water from both of those plants. The one on by Oslo is being closed once the other two are phased in. I don't know how long that is. I don't know if they have to build another pump station here before that happens in Timber Pines. Do you get reclaimed water in Trillium?
No, we don't.
Yeah, it's a great deal. We pay less than we would for regular water.
Oh yeah, I know. They kill us with this here water.
Yeah, well, if you're common grounds, I mean, if you buy enough of it, it's very inexpensive. And then what happens is it percolates back through the soil and goes into the aquifer, so it's reused. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, you're watering your garden, you're watering your lawn, and you're using regular water, and you're getting charged for sewer at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're losing. I mean, it's only my wife and I. Our bill is $100 a month, and that's a lot.
Well, we went and put a well in. About 5-6 years ago. It cost $2,500. And we saved $50 a month in water bill. Our
Right.
water bill is about runs about $52 a month because of the sewer.
Right.
Although the sewer is $40, but we pay nothing for the water.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try to get in touch with you tomorrow,
Okay, do that.
and
should
I'm
be-
gonna figure out. We'll come up with something.
Thank you. I
Give the Italian from New York. That's all. It's an Italian from New York.
Where in New York? Where
In
in
the
New York?
Bronx. In the Bronx.
Where? From what? By Joe and Joe? Is it? Castle Hill?
My father used to have a butcher in Arth Avenue.
Archer. Oh wow, you're up that end. I'm from Queens. I'm from Flushing, the other side of the Frog's Neck.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. When those buildings down there were pink and brown, I was a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard in those buildings.
Oh wow. Yeah, I remember when you went to the good old beaches, Jones Beach, Orchard Beach, and
yeah,
I mean they were clean. They were nice beaches.
Yeah. I lived in Long Beach for a little while too. I
Did
grew
you?
up in Flushing.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go to Mark. Good talking with you. I'll give it a thought if I come up with anything. I do have your number.
Thank you, Jerry.
And I know where you live.
And if the executive board decides they want to use my Zoom to hold a meeting, I don't have a problem with it.
I'll think about that and see. I'll probably go back at you and learn a little more about the system. But you know, if we want to have any impact on the primaries, let alone the fall, we're going to have to figure out how to do something different. And at the moment, I don't think anybody's been thinking about it.
Right, Jerry, you saw when I shared the other screen and it showed the flyer, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that ability, by the way, I also have the ability to have a co-host. So if somebody else wants to run a meeting or put slides up, it doesn't have to be me. It can be somebody else. So.
Well, I was also thinking, we try to do a speaker at every meeting. There's no reason we couldn't get a speaker who's currently in Washington, D.C. or Tallahassee. And if you're using Zoom, get them to present. So I don't want to make it too easy for people because they could come into our meetings. But I think we need to try to use the technology as you have so well here, and because it's going to be a part of everybody's life from now on, at least for the next couple of years, I think.
Well, I pay for the pro, and I don't mind making it available. I can run 50 meetings a month, so if the club needs to use it, I'm all in. Not a problem. I can set it up and do it, and we can name it what you want. And mine, this one, if you notice, dialogue with a politician, I can make it Timber Pines Republican Club. I can do whatever you want, and I don't care. And one last thing, I'm excited. I'm getting published sort of at University of Phoenix. I'm going to be on one of the paper I just wrote on interviewing techniques and social media. Keeping social distancing is being published on their blog. It's not really published, but it's going to be up there with my name on it. I'm really excited. First time I have my name. I authored something that's going to be published. So
I'm sure you got a lot of ideas along those lines, and maybe get some interaction with the local schools. I'm really kind of fixated on this question. I don't hear anybody thinking seriously about how they're going to deal with this. They say, all right, students are home learning now, but that is not by any means the same thing, and it impacts a lot of people in a lot of ways that they haven't even talked about. So it's important, I think, to have some ideas. People are going to have this virus and the recovery and all that. It's going to be on their minds. They won't even want to hear about elections. Tell me about when I can go back to work. Tell me about when my kids will go back to school so I can go to work. That's the things they want to know.
Oh yeah.
And, I think it helps if you've got, nobody's got answers, but at least some cogent, ideas or thoughts about,
Specifically in regard to that, They have the handheld temperature thermometers, the electronic ones, where you put it by the forehead and it reads it.
Right, yeah.
You could read the kids coming off a school bus going into the school. If they have a high fever, you can give them a test, and now you get the results in 15 minutes. There's no reason why that kid couldn't be employed in schools where you send the kid home. I mean, there's ways to handle it where it gets safer. And classes are big enough where you can space the kids out, especially the smaller ones, and 6 feet apart. In the hallways.
My point is, it's May now. If you want schools to start in September, somebody should have a plan in their hip pocket right now. And if they do, they should keep them in the secret.
I know they're working on it. When I talked to Jimmy Lodato, I know they're working on it. And when I talked to John Stratton, the superintendent, there's a lot of direction coming down from Tallahassee, but you also have direction coming from Washington. And they really like the idea of virtual schools. It's something to get adjusted to. I don't particularly think that, I think the lack of that one-on-one interaction between people is very important, and lacking that, I just don't think it's a great idea, but I see that's where it's going.
Well, you can, in my opinion, I'm a great fan of learning online because, I'm an engineer by trade. You can learn technical facts, and the computers are good at teaching if you will pay attention to them. But it's not an education unless you can add that to a program that gives you the interaction with teachers and your compatriots, your other students.
Yeah.
You need to find a way to integrate that together. And people don't really think that way. You're either a hands-on teacher or you're a techie, and they don't come together. But it's going to happen now.
Yeah, I think the CDC has guidelines do not want schools open at this point. And that has to do with the other agenda and also getting into the charter schools, I think.
Well, the schools are going to open in September, or they're going to go out of business. If they can't educate, what do you need them for?
Well,
all right. Sorry, I have my own soapbox. I get on once in a while. All right. Nice talking with you. Thanks.
You too. Thank you for coming, Jerry.
Sure.
Anything else I can answer for you, Joe?
No, I've learned a lot though by just listening to you, and I've got to walk the dog now. But
yeah.
I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. I'll have another one shortly. It's always something different, and I like to get up. I don't have all the answers, and I know that. I like to get input from people. So it's what it's all about. You're supposed to represent the people, not be a queen or a king on your own.
Yes.
Have a nice day, Joe.
We'll talk.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in, Mike.
That's a good one, Mark. I like that because I won't say it. I'll call you direct tomorrow. My feelings.
Very good. Yeah, I just need support, and I need to get a mailer out. I know I need to do at least one, and otherwise I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a buzz tomorrow.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. God bless you. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.